Story 1. The Man in the Hallway. It was a typical boring Friday in calculus class 7th period. That magical time when everyone's brain had already clocked out for spring break. You could feel the energy in the room, the restlessness, like we were all sitting on a roller coaster about to stop. We didn't even have a test that day, unlike most of my friends in other classes. Our teacher, Mr. Hampton, was one of those rare laid-back types who actually got that nobody wanted to do math on a Friday afternoon. So instead, he had pulled up Sporkle, calm on the projector, and started a brand logo quiz. The room was filled with quiet laughter and that lazy end-of-week buzz. I still remember the exact moment it all changed. Right after my friend Jenna blurted out the word Adidas, the intercom crackled to life. It was our dean's voice, but not the usual calm, rehearsed tone. He sounded terrified. All teachers, this is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Go into lockdown immediately. The room froze. Mr. Hampton stopped mid-smile. His expression flipped from relaxed to rigid in a heartbeat. He ran to the door, locked it, and switched off the lights. Back corner. Now, go. We scrambled into the far corner of the room, pressing close together, the blinds drawn tight. The fluorescent hum of the overhead lights stopped, leaving a heavy silence. Somewhere above us, a soft electrical buzz died. The power had been cut. That was when the fear set in. For the first couple of minutes, we sat completely still. No talking. Just the sound of people breathing. One of the girls beside me was shaking so badly, I could feel the vibrations through the floor. Then, from somewhere out in the hallway, we heard it. A man screaming. It wasn't a shout for help. It was a roar, wild and incoherent. The kind of scream that doesn't sound like words at all, just rage and madness, even a voice. Two girls near the door started crying quietly, and our teacher raised a finger to his lips, shushing them. The footsteps came next. Heavy, unsteady, echoing off the tile. And then bang, bang, metal crashing as the man slammed on the lockers, screaming at the top of his lungs. I'll kill all of you. I felt my stomach twist. My hands were shaking so hard, I had to clench them into fists. Every instinct screamed to run, but there was nowhere to go. The banging grew louder, closer, until it was right outside our classroom door. And then the handle rattled. Open up, he screamed. Open this door. One of the girls sobbed out loud, No, no, please no, and buried her face in her hands. Mr. Hampton crouched by the door, whispering, quiet, over and over. The pounding lasted forever, or maybe it was only 30 seconds. Time didn't exist in that room. My body was frozen between breaths. Finally, the pounding stopped. The footsteps staggered away. His screams faded down the hall until there was nothing but silence again. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The quiet was deafening. 10 minutes later, though it felt like an hour, the intercom clicked again. The dean's voice returned, shaking. Students and staff, the intruder has left the area. Remain in lockdown. We are sweeping the building. We exhaled collectively, the air filling the room again. But something about his tone told me it wasn't over. It wasn't until much later that we learned what had happened. According to the staff, a mentally unstable man had entered through the front entrance, attacked the secretary at the reception desk, and chased her out of the building. No one knew if he was armed. The school didn't have cameras back then, no real security at all, so the building was basically open to anyone who walked in. The teachers were told to keep the doors locked, but to resume class? How are you supposed to resume class after that? We just sat there pretending to work, while our minds replayed that voice screaming in the hallway. The part that still haunts me came later that night. One of the janitors found the man again sleeping inside a storage closet at the back of the school. According to the rumor that spread the next morning, sticking out of his pocket was the grip of a .44 Magnum. But before police could arrive, he vanished. No one ever said if they caught him. No follow-up, no news article, nothing. Just silence. Sometimes I think about that hallway, about the sound of his fist against the door, and I wonder if he remembers ours as the one that didn't open. Story 2. The Man in the Window. My school had 2 lunch periods. The first was for 6th graders and a few 7th graders. The second was for the rest of the 7s and all the 8th graders. It was early October, gray skies, heavy clouds, one of those weirdly quiet days where the whole campus feels slower than usual. I was in the first lunch period. My friends and I had just sat down when I heard it, 4 loud bangs echoing from somewhere outside. At first, I thought it was thunder, but everyone else thought the same thing at once. Gunshots. Screams erupted. Kids dropped their trays. A wave of panic spread through the cafeteria like fire through dry grass. Security guards rushed in shouting. Everyone inside the multipurpose room, "Move! Now!" I didn't understand what was happening, but adrenaline doesn't wait for explanations. I followed the stampede. The multipurpose room was massive, half gym, half cafeteria overflow, with a glass wall along the back that looked out over the street. As we ran in, the security guards pulled curtains over the glass and stationed staff members at every exit. They locked us in. We stood there, hundreds of kids pressed together, whispering, some crying. Nobody knew what was happening. My friend Eric tried asking one of the adults at the door, but they wouldn't say anything. A few minutes later, he came back pale. He whispered, "You know those houses across from the school? There's some guy out there crazy. Barricaded himself in his house. Says he's gonna shoot cops if they evict him." I blinked. What? And get this, he was walking around watching the school, like just standing out there, staring at kids. They say he's a sex offender. The words hit harder than the gunshots. The staff moved us away from the windows, telling us to sit down. The rain had started, and the sound of it hammering the roof only made the tension worse. We were stuck in that room for over an hour. The air got thick. Teachers tried to keep kids calm by playing quiet music, but every time thunder rolled, half the room flinched. Eventually, we were escorted back to our classrooms, one group at a time. When I stepped outside, I saw police cars blocking the street in front of the school, and officers crouched behind vehicles, pointing rifles toward a house. Later, we learned the man had been threatening to shoot himself and anyone who tried to approach. But the part that still gets to me didn't come from the news. It came from my friend Brandy. She lived next door to that man. That night, she told me something she'd never mentioned before. On Halloween the year before, she and her friends had seen him standing in his window, cutting his arm, and using the blood to write words across the glass. "Don't come here or I'll kill you." Everyone thought it was a sick Halloween prank, but no, we knew it wasn't. He wasn't arrested that day. Police eventually took him to a hospital, but no one knew what happened afterward. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if the school hadn't gone into lockdown early. If he'd walked a little closer. If those bangs hadn't just been thunder. The world looks normal until you realize how thin the glass between safety and chaos really is. Story 3. The basement. I was 22, fresh out of college, and had just landed my first real job at my old high school. It wasn't glamorous or anything. I worked as a computer tech intern, helping manage the servers and fix Chromebooks. The office was in the basement, buried under decades of dust and old cables. But honestly, I loved it. It was quiet down there, too quiet sometimes, but it felt like a secret world. Our little tech office was nice, though. 3 desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV, and best of all, ice-cold air conditioning. The teachers upstairs were jealous. My 2 coworkers, Dave and Gary, were both older and usually worked upstairs fixing projectors or dealing with Wi-Fi issues. That day, I was alone, finishing a sandwich at my desk when my phone rang. It was the front office. A woman's voice, sharp and breathless. "Lockdown. Now, this is not a drill. I froze mid-bite. Is someone armed? I asked. She didn't answer. The line went dead. My stomach dropped. The basement didn't have a real door, just a wide opening leading into the office area. And the main basement door at the top of the stairs didn't have a working lock. I shut off every light, silenced my phone, and ducked under my desk. The only sound was the faint hum of the servers in the corner. I texted Gary and Dave. Lockdown? What's going on? No reply. Minutes passed. Then 20. I sat in the dark, scrolling aimlessly through my phone to distract myself. That's when the basement door creaked open. A long, slow soundwood scraping metal. My heart stopped. Footsteps followed, slow, careful, coming down the stairs. Gary? I whispered. Dave? No response. The footsteps grew louder, closer, echoing against the concrete. I pushed my chair away and slid under the desk, holding my breath. The figure entered the office, didn't turn on the light, just stood there in the dark. And then ding, my phone vibrated. A text. The sound was deafening in the silence. I clenched my jaw. I could hear movement footsteps approaching. A shadow stopped right beside my desk. I couldn't take it anymore. I bolted upright, hands in the air. Please, don't shoot. I work here. A man grabbed my arm and hissed, It's okay. I'm hiding too. He was tall, wearing jeans, a red plaid shirt, and a red and black cap. His voice shook slightly. What's happening up there? I don't know, I whispered. Somebody said someone's armed. He nodded slowly. Is there another exit down here? I pointed toward the storage hallway. Back corner, near the boiler. Something in my gut screamed at me then. I asked, Who are you? There was a pause, just long enough for me to hear the servers humming behind us. He said, I came to pick up my son. They told me to hide. I looked at him again, really looked, and felt my stomach sink. The text on my phone was from Dave. Dude, some guy shot Mr. Buckley. Red shirt. Red hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs. The man in front of me noticed my expression change. What? He said. I didn't answer. I turned and ran. A gunshot exploded behind me, echoing through the basement. The sound hit like thunder. Something metal clanged as the bullet ricocheted off a pipe. I sprinted up the stairs, 2 at a time, half expecting the next shot to hit me in the back. When I burst through the basement door, police were already there, guns drawn. They tackled the man the moment he appeared behind me. Mr. Buckley, one of my old teachers, had been shot but survived. Later, the police said the man had personal issues with him, whatever that means. I never found out what kind of issues those were. Maybe nobody did, but I'll never forget that sound, the echo of that gunshot in the dark. Even now, years later, when I hear a door creak open or the hum of a server in an empty room, part of me is still crouched under that desk, waiting for footsteps that don't belong. Epilogue: 3 different schools, 3 different lockdowns. One common truth. We grow up thinking of school as safe, controlled, ordinary. But safety is fragile. It only takes one sound, one door, one stranger to shatter it. Those of us who lived through it know that when the intercom crackles and that voice says, "This is not a drill," the world outside the classroom door stops being predictable. And when silence finally returns, it never sounds the same again.